Yo,
What up? What up?
what is up, bro?
How are you?
Let's go. Yo, it's recording right now, but yeah, I was looking forward to this. This shit crazy.
Well, dude, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. So
How's life? Aren't you moving soon?
yeah, I am. I'm going to Scottsdale.
Nice.
Yep, Scottsdale. Braden said he's lived in Scottsdale for a while. So I said,
Yep.
I didn't know that.
You moving to Old Town?
No. So that's where my business partner, one of my friends, wholesalers, he lives in Old Town, like in Old Town. So
Nice.
when I visited this past time, that's where we stayed in Old
Yeah.
Town.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. I like that area. I haven't been in a couple years, but I one of my friends lives down there, and I went for like stayed with him for like a month. Yeah, I spent way too much time down there,
Really?
but no, like it was good. It was super fun, but yeah, I spent like one of my buddy, like my best friend at the time lived down there. Now he's actually in Guatemala right now, but he's been living all over the place. So
And he wholesales too?
he used to. Now he sold some of his properties and he's just on like a spiritual journey right now, dude. Just doing yoga and shit. I don't even know what he's
What
doing.
happens when you get money? I feel like you get money and you're like, all right, now what?
Yeah,
Point of like life.
chill.
Or like,
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely pros and cons to that, right? Like I am a big fan of living a wholesome life, like a full, well-rounded life. But also at some point in time, you're like, man, I gotta put a little bit of effort in,
that's
just like a
right. It's
little
like,
passion, little purpose.
right, the type of person that you become to get to that level,
Hmm.
not the type of person that wants to take breaks.
For sure. Yep. 100%.
But
So
look,
I do have a hard stop at 4:15. That's why I want to start a little early. That way, just in case we went over.
okay, cool. All right, look, I'm gonna give you an introduction, proper introduction for the YouTube channel. All right, YouTube, if you guys do not know, this is Chandler saying he's made millions in wholesale real estate. He's a coach as well. He teaches people how to get to $100,000 a month in wholesale real estate, specifically $100,000 a month. That's what attracted me to your whole coaching program. I think you're younger than me too. I think you're
Uh,
27,
I'm just turned 26.
just turned 26, right? So he's been my mentor for about a year now. He helped me level up my wholesaling operation, close my second six-figure deal, right? After joining your mentorship, six-figure deal, single month, single day. I talk about it a lot. You helped me expand my mind when it came to business, numbers, scaling, and entrepreneurship. Huge inspiration to me. Chandler saying. Okay.
That's a good intro, dude. I gotta take some notes from you, bro. That was really nice.
Yeah. So why did you get started and how did you get started in wholesale real estate versus any other business model? And what were you doing before wholesale real estate?
Yeah, dude. So that's a good question. So before I was doing real estate, I was actually working for my dad. I was going to take over his company, take over the family company. We were doing, around like just under like 2 million a year in that business. And so, I've been doing that since I was like 14. Every summer I would go and it's a landscape construction company, right? So that was what I was doing. I wrestled in school. My dad told me this. I took a semester off, went through the whole process. I was like, shit, like I'm gonna learn all this stuff. I was selling $10,000 to $30,000 jobs. I was running a crew of people, we are doing full yard remodels, like five to $150,000 jobs. And I was like, I wasn't managing the bigger ones yet, but I was managing the smaller ones and doing all the design, all the little work.
18 years old?
I was like 18, 19, yeah. So that was what I was doing. And like, it was a grind. Like I'd wake up at 5 a.m. I'd get into work at 6. I'd work till 6 or 7. I'd go to the gym, and then I'd repeat that over. And then I'd like work on like I was also building like an SEO website out for like some marketing stuff, which that website it like started doing really well. Like it does like 500K a year just in like revenue from that one website, which is pretty cool, just from people googling us. Um, anyways, so I kind of started like the digital marketing, like blue collar background, and then I was like, dude, it became pretty clear that I wasn't gonna be, my dad started butting heads. He didn't want to grow the company. I did. I wasn't really, you know, I wasn't. There was no road for me to go ahead and that. So I figured that, hey, I need to look for something else. So I went back to school for a semester, was hanging out with some of the wrong people, got my life back together, moved in with actually my previous business partner who I started wholesaling with. And I actually bought like a marketing agency course. I paid like 3 grand for this thing. And then but it gave me like, and I didn't actually end up really doing anything with it. I had some sales calls and some different things, but what it did is it gave me a lot of ideas. And then my roommate actually had done some wholesale deals. And so we were like, oh shit, like I had this marketing background. He had, he understood this like wholesale thing. And I was like, man, why would I like sell these like blue collar people on some like marketing agency stuff where I make like 500 to $1,000 a month per person when we could do like $15,000 in a deal. So I was like, I got some ideas. I'd like been studying wholesaling a bunch, went and did some marketing stuff at the time we were doing SMS. And we literally went, I think at the time we did like maybe 15 or $20,000 the month before like one deal. And then in 5 months after doing all this, we hit our first $100,000 a month, and then we didn't hit below $100,000 a month basically ever since then. And that's basically how I got started in real estate. It was kind of a roundabout way to get into real estate. I never really was a real estate person, but I saw it as a good opportunity to like get my feet into business and like start entrepreneurship.
That's really good. That's really good. That answers a lot of my questions that I had. So, because it just goes to show, like, you come in here and you're doing like 100K a month, and, it worked out for you like that. But some people starting off their entrepreneurship with none of those skills that you get, like from having your dad have his own business, and right. So a lot of those transpired into, the wholesale business.
Mm-hmm.
A
Yeah, I
lot,
got super lucky in that sense.
right.
But here's the thing about my dad. My dad was is a very wise man, and he told me because I was like, I want to start a business. And like I told him that when I was like 16 or 17. I was wrestling, so like sports were my number one priority. But he's like, you need to just go like work for someone for a year to like get some skills because if you just start a company with no skills, he said you're gonna like you'll be lucky to make it work out.
Right.
And so like I did that by working with him, which is a very lucky thing to do. But if I was to advise anyone, it's like when you're 18, 19, 17, when you're starting to get a job, don't go work for McDonald's. Well, like I tried to go get a job at Nike because I like wanted a discount on their shoes. So I like their shoes. And my dad was like, "Nah, you're gonna work for me instead." Which I was like, dude, I don't want to go work in the heat and dig holes all day. But that's what I did when I was 14 to, the end of high school. And then I started like actually having delegated responsibilities, but work for a small business that you can see all the roles, learn sales, you can learn marketing, you can learn operations, you can learn fulfillment, you can learn finance, all the things directly from the owner. And it's like a way better thing to do it for a year or two. And then now you have all the skills you need to start your business. Like if it is if you're very early on, right? If you don't have any skills, like you got to get some skills up. That's my opinion, at least.
Right. So you got those skills early on, and you were putting in the reps early on without even knowing how it's going to prepare you for the future. And like some people who start think about being an entrepreneurship, when they're 28, my age, or they're older, 30 something, or, whatever their age is, and all they have is McDonald's history.
Mm-hmm. What
But
do you say to those guys?
you said what?
What would I say to those guys?
No, I'm just
Oh,
making.
if you work at McDonald's, dude, you can be risen people up, bro. Upsell everyone. Like if you're a cashier, you can upsell every single person who comes in there, bro. Like, why not? That's how you can practice and get tons of reps. Like just because you work at somewhere that's lower status or maybe you don't make as much income or it's not a sales job, like start learning the skill of sales and connecting with people. Yeah, I sell all the time, bro. That's all I do is sales.
And so the biggest thing that I want to really talk about, or the biggest thing I want to point out that you helped me with, is having that mindset, because most people don't even see the value in that. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
man, fuck this. I work at McDonald's. Like, you know,
Yeah.
that's all they see it as. And so you helped me to see wholesaling a whole different way, right? So you were like raised kind of in it and into the business mindset of like how to kind of run it. You get a bird's eye view. You've grown into this higher level of operating. I noticed you like reference like, what does this look like at a high level or a high level, like a bird's eye view type. And so I want to give some examples of exactly that. right? So you helped me to realize, right? I noticed, so I wrote this. You have a certain perspective on business, money, and reality that helps you operate at a higher level than most people, right? And it's not a skill thing, but a mind frame. I noticed that and I realized that I had to start training my mind frame, right? How to perceive reality, business, and wholesaling differently. I had to start training my mind that. And so after watching, just from watching your YouTube videos, right, you helped me to look at wholesale real estate as an actual business and not just a hustle or a side thing or something that's not taken just as serious as a brick and mortar store, right? I started to realize that, and I looked at the KPIs as the veins to my business that give it life rather than some numbers that I wrote down on my notebook or a whiteboard or a spreadsheet just because it makes me feel productive. And it
Mm-hmm.
also see the new nuances that I'm seeing now is there's differences between sales superstars, right? And sales managers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And all these perspective shifts changed because I was focusing on the type of person that I was becoming and the mind frame. What is the mind frame of the person that I'm trying to become? What is their default mode of thinking? So the
I actually I know you might have something to say. I love the fact that you're looking at what does someone's mind do, because that's exactly whenever I'm around someone who's like more successful than me, I don't ask questions about what they know, but I try to understand how do they think about things. So like
exact
I'll give people scenarios and be like, how does this guy process this information? And like what are they asking themselves when they're thinking about this? Because I find the questions you ask yourself actually unlock more truth than what you know.
yeah, that's exactly right. I'm glad that you said that. That's exactly right, dude. Like learning because I started studying successful people and I'm like, all right, it's not about what he does. Like that is important too. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna start doing, but it's like, why? How does he perceive this? How do
Mm-hmm.
they perceive this issue? Because then you'll automatically the behaviors will follow after the
Yep.
default perception. So I was gonna say, what is one mental model that helped you that you think served you best when it came specifically to wholesaling real estate? I know you kind of explained it a little bit, but what do you think is a
Yeah.
mental model that helped you?
So, okay, if we're what stage are we talking about? Are we talking about early on here when you're like going from 0 to 100,000 a month, or like 0 to a million a year, or
Or
like
one
where
to
like
100,000. Yeah, to make it first 100,000.
yeah, to me, okay, 0 to 100 grand total made, or 0 to like just getting it started, right? I want to make sure because it's different. I think it's gonna be different.
20 grand a month, like getting to somebody
Okay.
who's never closed any deals and they want to start from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They want to
Yep.
start.
Okay. So mental model, I think the mental model actually, when you're getting started, is just trick yourself into getting started and doing the thing that's required to get the deal, right? So I always chunk like anything that I do into, if I do this one thing, I will be successful. Like if this one thing is true, then everything else will fall into place and they'll be successful. And when you're trying to get to $20,000, the one thing that needs to be true is you need to get one offer out a day. If you can get one offer out a day, no matter what, then you're going to get $20,000 a month, because you literally just got to close one deal, maybe two, depending on your deal size, but realistically, 1 to 2 deals, which if you make 30 offers a month, it'd be unreasonable not to get a deal a month. Like at some point in time, if you review every single phone call that you've made, every single offer you made, and you got better and don't make the same mistakes twice, then at 6 months in, when you've made 160 offers, it would be unreasonable to not be pretty good at that point. So for me, it's like, what is that one thing that I have to do? And I have to do it every day. And if I do that one thing, then it will be successful. And that's for me is making an offer to someone who's actually going to sell their house.
Correct. And all right, so let's go look at that from another way because that's exactly right. And that's exactly what I had to realize. But it's the mindset that you didn't even call out. It's that Alex Hermosi helped me to realize is do something until it's unreasonable for you to not see results.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you did it 200 times, surely by just law of math, like one person is going to say yes, like just it's going to happen.
Right, right. And so that's what, yeah, that helped me. It's funny that you say that because yeah, once I figured out, I was like, okay, I make three 30-minute offer calls doing this script, this sales process every single day for 90 days every day, it'd be unreasonable.
Because here's how it's going to work. You're going to make your first offer. Let's just say it's your first offer. You make your first offer, you're going to sound like an idiot. And you're going to be like, damn, that was bad. And you're going to be like, I probably should figure out how to do this. And then you're going to start searching and you're going to start looking around and be like, oh, this is actually a good script here. Let me take this script. And you use that script and you realize the flaws with it. And then you can adjust it. You find a new one. You meet people who are doing this. You go to RIAs. Like the point is, like, if you're doing things, you're learning and you actually have good questions to ask. So it's like everything else is going to fall into place because you don't want to look like an idiot. You want to succeed. So you're just going to sort it out, right? You're going to figure it out.
That's right. Another question that I had, right? But just on that last thing, it was like a Chinese language to me. Every time I went on your YouTube, it was like Chinese. But you were doing wholesaling and you
Mm-hmm.
were saying big numbers. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I gotta pay attention. I was like, I don't know what he's talking about or how this, it felt so unrelatable
Okay.
because but it's because you were raised in that mindset, that business mindset. I'm teaching myself, right? And I'm seeing, okay, I have to think how he thinks. I have to look at it like this.
Mm-hmm.
And once I paid, so actually I made 100 grand on my own by like the grace of God. And then when I moved out to Dallas, there's a ton of people I could have paid to be my mentor. I did not hesitate to pay you just because of the free stuff that you give on YouTube, like the free value and like crazy. So you really helped me to see it not as foreign language anymore. And now I teach it. And now I help other people get.
Maybe I need to get better at speaking so I don't speak in Chinese to you.
Well, no,
What do you feel like is foreign about it?
but I think that's the differentiator, right? Because you're attracting high level people. You speak a high level language. I'm speaking a dumb. Now, you could get more people like that, right? But like Alex Hormozy says, it's like better to get the few that pay the most rather than
Mm.
the most that pay the least.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely is a good point there.
But yeah, so that I paid attention to that shit. I'm like, why did I pay him like this much money? Like, why? And it's because, bro, you separated like this nigga, he's doing something different, right? But the proof is in the pudding, right? After I paid you, boom, not that few months later, made another 100 grand. Um, Let me ask you this. Since being a coach, what is the biggest thing that you see stopping most wholesalers from getting to 100 grand in a month?
Yeah, delegating acquisitions. It's the biggest one. I think one, the first hurdle you have to get over is like actually spending the money on marketing to like get comfortable doing that. But once you pass that hurdle and you realize it's like you trust that if I spend this much money, I'm gonna get more good leads, I'm gonna convert them into more deals. Once you get past that, that's like kind of the first hurdle. I'd say that's like 50K a month. Once you get past that, you're not gonna get to $100,000 a month consistently. Like you can do it here and there, but consistently every month until you can find a sales guy who's really good, reliable sales guy who can lock up a bunch of deals without you, that you don't have to micromanage, and he can go on his own and do a really good job for you. Obviously, you manage him, like you said, sales management stuff, but that's the crux. Because what that allows you to do is it actually allows you to go and learn the business in a deeper way because you're not fully doing all the acquisitions, doing all the sales calls. You're not so tight to marketing. So like you're not like, oh, these leads suck. You're not making all these rash decisions with your marketing. And you're just like trusting the process that we need to do this more and more and more, improving, getting better. And then, like I said about growing the business and becoming better at it, is now you start to add exit strategies. So this is what really took our deal size from like 15K to like 35 was by starting to wholesale, starting to do some flips, starting to do novations, and like just getting better at how do we monetize these deals in a higher way to make more money. Because the mixture of not having to do all the follow up, having someone consistently doing that, they're going to quickly become better than you because they're just not missing the follow up dates, right? They're not letting leads fall through the cracks. And like I just was talking to one of my buddies who's how about he just hired his first acquisition guy, but he did it because he's like, dude, I had this portfolio of 11 properties where I would have made at least 400 grand. I've been following up with this guy for like 6 months. I missed the follow up date. I called him like 2 weeks after the follow up date, and he sold like a week before, like literally, or like signed with another person like a week before. And he was like, bro, like right there is like a $500,000 like gone, poof, just because I can't follow up with someone. So he hired an acquisition guy. Anyways, nonetheless, it's the hardest thing to do because it's you got to find someone good and reliable. Um, and you're kind of at that point where it's like, do you have enough revenue for them to come into the business and like make money commission only? It's like this weird, scary thing where if you mess it up, end up like having flat months. And if you do it right, then you take off. So, but that's the hardest piece by far.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm going through that same little thing. I've been going through that exact thing that you're saying and speaking
Mhm.
about. That is correct.
Yeah, I've seen that story happen a lot.
Delegating acquisitions and yeah, being able to trust the process. You're not so in it, micromanaging as much. You're more of a high level. Okay, did we do the process?
Mhm.
You
Dude,
know?
that's another thing too, is as you grow, like in like you got to start developing your process in a script. And if you don't have one, like just at least get one, even if it's not good. Even if you don't feel like you know what you're doing, at least script out what you're doing because then you can go back and read it. Like, dude, I'll go read a script that I wrote for like a YouTube video. Because I do this like I do YouTube video scripts all the time, right? Where I'm like typing out outlines, whatever. I'll go read one. I'm like, dude, what was I saying? I'm a fucking idiot for saying it that way when like I now see it so much better and can adjust it and like you learn each time, right? So like when I listen back to a video that I make or to a sales call or whatever, you can just adjust your script based on like how something landed a little bit different than you wanted it to, just because you're wording. So it's very important to have that. I think if you don't have a script, like you got to be adjusting all the time.
Right. And there's levels to this. I know we got to go in a little bit, but there's levels to this. And when you go to the next level, the level below you didn't stop. You got to keep it going. Now you got
Yep.
the new level stuff. The,
It's always an addition. It's never I can stop doing this and now only do this. It's like I got to do this and that. I think.
right. How can I make sure that this is still running, right? While I learn this, then I got to next level, next level. Alex Hermosi is a huge inspiration to me. I know he probably is to you too. I
Yep.
mean, I have both of his books. I talked to you about his closer framework one time. Um, and he talks a lot about our sphere of reference, right? He says, most people say that you're the five people that you hang around with the most. He says you're really the five people that you refer to the most.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who are the people that when you have a question about life or about business, who do you go to the most? And I'd say you're definitely in that sphere of reference for me.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to talk to you now is like awesome, but who would you say is your inside your sphere of reference, the people that you refer to the most?
Yeah, dude, it's different. It's different every time, bro. So of course, when you have a smaller network, like there's going to be a few people who you go to and just bounce everything off of. And like my close friends, I bounce a lot of things off of in a personal way. My closest friends actually aren't really even much into business at all. Like they have their own, like they're in commercial real estate, they're realtors, they have some other things, but they're not like high level entrepreneurs, which might sound crazy to a lot of people, but we share all the same beliefs, all the same hobbies. So personal stuff, I call my friends there, and each one of them has like a different take on reality. So one of my friends is like an empath. He's a very like he helps me see other people's side of things. One of my friends is was like he's a very analytical person, and he was like a mountain guide for 9 years and has seen all kinds of stuff in the outdoors. But he gives a very like streamlined engineer type answer. Then I have like if I need like a female's opinion, you call a female or call my mom or something like that. Business perspective, it's like I every single person who I know is like got a different skill. And so I think about who is the person that can help me with this. And then I call that person. So it's like, example, I before this call, I was on a call with one of my friends who does about $500,000 in direct mail a year. We're starting to launch some direct mail. And I was just like, I'm picking his brain. I've picked few of my friends' brains who do a lot of mail and just ask them what they do. And then I formed my strategy and then we're going to launch it and we're going to do it. And so essentially it's pretty simple. I just call the people who do that thing really well. I ask them what's going on and then I get the answer.
That,
So,
that's in. That's right. That's correct. That's a high level answer. But is there someone like, I don't know, like let's say famous people that you think, do you ever think, maybe you don't think that way, but it's like, what would he do in this situation? Or,
oh, like think about I always have to I think about that in a term of relationships. Like what would a secure person do in this situation? But not really in the business sense. I try to think of like I try to delineate like honestly like if it's a problem where I'm not sure what to do, I use a frame for myself to get a very good grasp on like what am I thinking. So I talk about asking yourself questions. So there's certain questions that I'm going to ask myself. Like an example of one that I ask is like, if I have an easy, and this is a Hermosi thing, if I have an easy decision or a hard decision, and I'm not just making the easy choice, then I know my gut is telling me I need to do the hard choice. The thing I always try to do is connect with my gut. I heard this presentation by this guy who sold his company for 120 million, and he said that he spends an hour every day meditating to connect with his gut. Now, I don't take it to that extreme, but what I do is I always ask myself very extreme questions about the circumstance I'm dealing with to feel what my gut intuition would be. So an example of this is like gun to my head, what decision am I making right now? If I have to make, and like whatever you kind of urge towards is like what you probably should make. And then I'll take that reasoning of the whole situation, and then I'll call a few different people based on who I think. This is where it gets deeper. It's like who has then we bring in biases. Everyone's got a bias of how they see the world, and who has the right bias to answer this question. Where I'm not going to get something that's completely skewed, way off the grid, but I'll ask a few different people and take their opinions in, and then I'll at this point have kind of a to-do list or next steps or whatever I want to do. So it's a very like this all happens pretty quickly in my head, but these are like the steps I'm taking to try to like solve something. It's not like I don't like usually just call someone and be like, hey, like, I don't know what to do. I usually like think about it and then I call a few strategic people, but there's not the same people every time. Usually it's very different.
That's good. I know you got to go here. How can people reach out to you, or like you want to plug anything in? I know you got an event coming up, but that's like in a week or two.
Yep.
Right.
Dude, if you guys are doing the business, getting into it, follow me on Instagram. It's at Chandler Sane. I got a YouTube as well. It's at Chandler Sane. Luckily for me, I got a unique name, so it's pretty great on that front. But yeah, we're starting to do events every for a year. Um, it's really great. We help people get to $100,000 a month. We're building a really awesome community and level up. And yeah, I mean, hit me up with any questions you got over there. You can see how to get in touch with me once you on my Instagram. So
Oh yeah, and he really messages back too.
I
Bro's been
do. It's actually me too. It's not anyone else. I promise that.
a
So
lot
that's
of
why
people
it
say
takes
that.
hella time sometimes.
A lot of people say that about me. They're like, "Oh, I'm surprised you answered." I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's me. It's my account." But yeah, he.
Well, I mean, like I did at one point have like a sales guy in my DMs, but I was like, dude, like I'd rather just like talk to these people about like random shit. Um, it's not that many DMs. Let me make 20 a day. So maybe 30
I'm big.
different. It's not that many.
All right, I appreciate you, man, for being here. And yeah, huge inspiration. Keep crushing it. I'll see you at the event.
Yeah, bro. See you next week, baby. Hasta luego.
Yeah, peace.
Appreciate you, bro.
If you made it to the end of the video, I want to say thank you. This interview really did mean a lot to me because he really did help me to change my mindset around business and money. And even though he was raised, like he said, around that business mindset culture already, I had to teach myself it by surrounding myself with his content, surrounding myself, referring to him, constantly watching his YouTube videos, gaining knowledge, implementing it, taking raw action. And then when the opportunity finally came, I paid for his mentorship to gain access to him, to gain exclusive access into the knowledge, into the coaching program. Not only that, but to build the relationship with him. Now I'm gonna meet him in person. It's all about who you surround yourself with, and sometimes to get inside the doors and the rooms with those high-level people, one, you have to learn the language, and two, sometimes you might have to pay to get in that room. Sometimes you might have to pay just to be friends with someone, just so you could get in that room. But it all starts up here. You can create your own room as well, but you have to get used to thinking at a high level. You have to get used to surrounding yourself with people who think big, who know that they could make money on their own. Surround yourself with people who know how to make money on their own. Surround yourself around people who you want to be like, who are what you want to be like. Constantly brainwash yourself with positive content that is feeding your mind in the direction that you want to go in life. I taught myself how to think this way. You can teach yourself how to think this way as well. And you could also pay someone to teach you. So if that's you and you want to just pay to be around me, hear me in my daily morning meetings, hear the way I work with my team, see me as I grow in my wholesale and entrepreneur journey and process, and it opens the door to a friendship, a a real relationship that's based off of bettering yourself. You could ask any of my students, they'll tell you, they could hit me up anytime. They could call me anytime. They have my personal cell phone number. It's because you have to find the people who care. You have to find the people who have what you want and are willing to share that information and be a part of your success. If that's you, if you want to become a student and work with me one-on-one, click the link below. It's going to be a link to book a call with me. You're going to fill out a form, and at the end of the form, you're going to schedule a call, right? But only book a form and book a call if you're serious about wanting to learn about how to run a wholesale real estate business, okay? If you want to learn how to set up lead generation, how to have good lead generation and automate it and delegate it, right? How to have a good sales process, how to have a good CRM, and how to filter your leads, and how to look for your leads, and how to treat your leads, and have the tools and resources to look at it from a high level early on, to be able to track your data, to see your data. That way you could tweak your business, right? Only book a call if you're serious. But if you don't have the funds right now to be a one-on-one student, I do have a free course. And that free course literally gives you every single thing that you could ever need in your wholesale journey. I promise you. It's a Google Docs form. If you're watching this on your phone, then you probably need to download the Google Docs app in order to view the whole course. If you guys got any value out of this video, make sure to hit the like button, comment, subscribe. I'm dropping weekly videos about wholesale real estate, self-improvement, and just life in general. All right? Stay motivated.